for another episode of Spectacular Magazine Shorts. I am Britany B with the T, in for Miss Phyllis Coley. Baba Bradley Simmons is an artistic musical legend and mentor. He is a professor and instructor of music at Duke University, specializing in Afro Cuban and African music and history. His work in music and entertainment stretches all over the United States, and his teachings to many musicians that work in the art and music industry now. I had the pleasure of interviewing Baba Bradley and asking him some questions about his past and how he got to where he is today. Here is a short clip of just a few amazing answers from our interview.
Baba Bradley Simmons, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good considering all this madness we living in. Let me take it from day one. 1960. Okay. I joined this dancing school called the Gloria Jackson. Well, at that time it was called Leroy's and Gloria Jackson School of Dance. And it was in Queens, New York. Dance, I was studying tap dancing first. Okay, and then after that school year was up, we had to do a concert, the annual recital. When my tap dance number came on and went off, me at the time, my best friend Melvin Jefferson, we were both in the same class, and we noticed that some group of drummers was coming out on stage to do their number right after us. So we looking at them, and I said, well, Melvin, let's stand back here and watch these guys play, and watch what they're gonna do. So they performed. We were standing backstage watching them play, and when they finished, that was it. The rest was history. That night, when we got home, we both told our parents that we wanted to start, take drum lessons that following year. So we still stayed into the tap class. So we was doing both tap and taking drum lessons. I stayed in the tap class for at least 10 years. And then during that time, we were still drumming. So once I hung up my tap shoes, I just kept playing from that point on.
When did you realize how far percussion could actually take you when it comes to entertainment?
When I started, let's see, 76, I met a guy named Monty Ellison. I met him before 76. And he said, if you want to make money playing drums, this is what you're going to need to do. He said, you're going to need to join the union, which was the musicians union at the time. Came to the studio while I was playing for this class. I was playing for Thelma Hill at the time. It was a Dunham class at that. And he comes into the classroom, and we had a little break. He says, hey man, I got a project that I'm working on and I want you to be involved in it. I said, okay, what's the project? And at that time he said, I can't tell you right now. I said, all right. He said, yeah. And then that's when he said that he's doing an all Black version of Guys and Dolls on Broadway. I said, okay. And he wanted me to be his understudy. He says, come by the theater and so you can look at the show and start studying it and start learning it so that when I get ready to take off, you're ready to go on. So that's the first time I went on, and that's when I knew right there that, okay, this is where I'm going to go from now on. I played with Maurice Hines for a while and his brother, Gregory.
Did they ever ask you to tap dance?
You said they do what?
Did they ever ask you to dance?
Oh, no. They never knew. I didn't tell them that.
You didn't tell them?
No, because I know Gregory would have said, here, put these shoes on.
Exactly.
I used to watch Chuck dance with Olatunji back then. In the mid 60s, mid to late 60s. And I used to watch Chuck perform at the World's Fair in 64, 65. That's when African drumming really blew up at that point. before I did that, I was working with Eartha Kitt a lot because I used to do all of her nightclub acts and TV shows. When we was in LA for 4 months, and I did two TV shows with her. One was the Mike Douglas show, and the other one was the Cerebral Palsy show. And Eartha would do extra gigs, and we would do these prison gigs. And now the worst thing that happened was I accidentally got locked up in prison in New York at Rikers Island. It was the most worst experience I ever came across because I knew people in that jailhouse, and I started talking to them. And at the end of the show, I was talking to one guy that I grew up with, and we was just talking. I was like, Steve, when you getting out of here? He was telling me his story and how long he's going to be in there. And I noticed that the company was leaving, and then I said, Steve, I got to go because they all leaving. I get to the door was locked, and they wouldn't let me out. So the inmates went into a rage and said, open this door, let him out. He is not one of us.
Oh my goodness.
And the security guard was standing right there and he wouldn't open the door. So they had to go get the guy I was playing for. He had to come back and verify who I was in order for me to get out.
Wow.
This was in New York at Rikers Island. I could not believe that happened. Yeah. So I got to meet a lot of people back then. But, in between, again, I was doing a lot of recordings in New York and mostly on and off Broadway shows.
When did you start teaching at Duke University?
In 96. Yeah, 96, 97.
You've been there for a while.
Yeah, I've been there, 25 years. So when I was coming up, we had to learn everything. Not just the conga drum, not just the djembe, not just the bongos. We learned everything. As African Americans, we have the edge because we hear more than most people from whatever country they come from or whatever country that we're playing the music of. We hear more than they do. Okay, my teacher told me that. I said, what do you mean? He said, we hear their music. We hear music from Cuba. We hear music from Brazil. We hear music from the Caribbean islands. We hear everything, and we also hear our own music, which is R&B and jazz. Okay, but the history is the most important part of it. That's why, when I was teaching Lamar and Atiba and Elijah, I said, it's good that you know how to play this, but now you need to explain to whoever it is you're teaching why you're playing it and where it's coming from and what does it mean. Now, if you can't do that, there's no point in teaching.
Right.
Then I started bringing guest artists down in 97, 98. Yeah, that's when I brought Chief Bay down. Then I brought some other artists.
Was that around the time that you started Elements of Percussion, 97?
Yeah, it sure was in 97. And then I started using local musicians here too as well. And I put that group together just so that we can, showcase what different percussion instruments can do. That's why I called it the elements of percussion, because you playing different elements of percussion from different parts of Africa, different parts of Cuba, different parts of Brazil, Haiti, and we playing all these rhythms from those different countries. So that's why I call it the elements. And it worked. It worked well because we got to play everything.
Baba Bradley's passion for music and art still burns bright, and his legacy speaks for itself. I'd like to thank Baba Bradley Simmons for giving me the time to ask questions about his life and legacy. We appreciate his dedication to move forward and teach the next generation all that was taught to him. This is Britany B with the T for Spectacular Magazine Shorts, and thank you for watching.
Spectacular Magazine. We on the scene.